How are you doing? For me, it feels strange and odd to be here in home and not in church today. Usually this week, Holy Week, is one of the busiest times for me in church. We have services most days, usually, marking different events for when Jesus enters Jerusalem on a donkey on Palm Sunday, to remembering Jesus' special meal with his friends on Maundy Thursday. You know that Maundy comes from the Latin mandatum, the mandate, the command, the instruction for us to love one another, to share food together, to wash one another's feet, to do acts of service, acts of love for each other. And then we strip the church, take away all the gold, all the linen, all stripped bare, and we wait in the church in darkness, waiting like we're waiting with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And then today, on Good Friday, we usually have children's activities in the morning. I run off my feet and I love it. We remember the Easter story with the kids. And then we have the Stations of the Cross, looking at the paintings of Jesus that as he carries his cross to his death. And then we have the Good Friday liturgy, where we hear the story of Jesus dying on the cross, and we look at Jesus and we wait at the foot of the cross. But this year, it's all different. Last night I watched, along with I think 160 other people, an online live Maundy Thursday service. It was led by the clergy of St Martin's in the Fields, you know, the one by Trafalgar Square. And it was recorded though in their front room. As I watched on my phone, quite unexpectedly for me, I just suddenly burst into tears. I think it was because I was faced with the reality once again. The reality that I was not able to walk next door and to open up the church, because that's the church I'm the priest of, and leading services, that's part of what my job is to do. It was as though the reality that we can no longer be together really set in. The reality that we can't go to our churches, the reality that we can't go out to work. It became real once again to me that we can't see our loved ones and our friends. And I felt in my heart and my gut once again. And I was overcome with grief. And that's what we're facing all day, every day, isn't it, at the moment? We're facing death. We're facing death like we've never faced it before. And it's awful. Today, on Good Friday, this is the day in the year that Christians always look into the face of death. It's a solemn day. It's a day when we hear meditations of the awfulness of Jesus dying, and traditionally it's a day when we come before God and we ask for forgiveness, that as we as humans, how could we crucify God? But I just wonder, I'm just wondering if today we can't actually start from that place, that traditional place of asking God to forgive us. Because maybe in the face of all this death around us, we just want to be crying out and saying, you know what, God? Maybe you need us to forgive you. This religion that talks about God, well, it's done a pretty awful job of breaking trust with most of the nation, hasn't it? Just think about it. What's happened? The clergy's sex abuse of children. The sexuality debate in the church that's so slow in catching up with society and is damaging people's faith and lives. The associations that religion has had with violence. And then this pandemic, when religious people are saying that God is purging the world. If that is the God that we're talking about, Well, that's not a God that requires us to forgive God. That God is not love. Maybe it requires, maybe just maybe, today is a day when we're invited to discover that God is not the one who needs to kill his son for some warped logic of retribution for a world that he created in some masochistic act. No, that is not a God I want to love and worship. It's not even a God I want to know. Maybe we've not been describing the real essence of God. Maybe we need to look to the cross today, all of us, and instead we'll find that God is love, who chooses love and chooses to be always with us. Maybe God is one who chooses to be so close to us that God becomes a human, a baby born and grows and shows us how to love each other. Maybe God is the one who chooses to show love and is with us, even if it means that he's persecuted and hurt. Even if choosing love and to be with us means he's going to die. Choosing love, choosing to be always with us, means that the pain of the cross in his death means that God the Son is in fact separated from God the Father. So God chose self-giving love, a love that meant God's own body was broken, but his abiding love with us remained intact. God's own relationship with God's own self was broken, but what was never broken was God's abiding love with us. God chooses to be with us, even to the end. What does this mean for us? Well, as we face death, the death of reality as we know it, but more importantly, as we face the death of those around us, as we look to our own mortality, we look it in the face and we realise that we are going to die. Today, we know that whatever tragedy, whatever endurance and suffering we go through, that God knows this, that God is with us, that God's love shows us that the story does not end today. For even if we can't raise our eyes off the crucified, broken body of Christ today, that's okay. That's where our eyes are meant to be today. But we do know that God's story of love keeps on going. It moves to Saturday and then to Easter Sunday. A dawn does break. There is more to this story. There is hope, however distant that is right now. And it's there. And we will hear a song of hope soon. But today, whatever you're facing, whatever pain or sorrow you're going through, know that you can look to the central image of Christ on the cross, of God who cries out in pain in solidarity with us, God who knows us and shows us a love that endures all things, a love that never leaves us, a love that never ends. Today, I'm going to journey with Jesus, probably through watching the St. Martin's in the Fields Good Friday reflections on Facebook. But because my kids, I probably won't get to do this at the time it's live. But maybe I'll catch up later tonight. And that's okay, I think. I kind of think that God won't mind. I wonder today, would you like to look on love? Spend some time with the one who is with you, even in the midst of death. Love who is with you always. Amen.